I really cannot remember the last time I saw Donald Trump this upset, because the series of Truth Social posts he put out tonight are not just insane, but it is somehow a new level of complaints from our crybaby president, not just because Kamala Harris called him out and dropped an election bombshell, but because Donald Trump has been humiliated nonstop this entire week, and it's why he is now demanding arrest in an insane Truth Social post and completely melting down in the other. We're going to get into it all, but before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button, because it goes a long way in supporting our work. Now, before we can get into those insane posts and of course what Kamala Harris said to trigger Donald Trump into that meltdown, we do have to start with how Kamala Harris hit Donald Trump where it hurts, calling out the failures of this administration, in a clip on Rachel Maddow's show right here.
Against him.
So, Earl, I also talk about, the first 2 weeks that I was the top of the ticket, we had no polling, because no polling had been done on me. So it was my gut.
Yeah.
And so I came up with this speech that actually was about, I was a prosecutor. I dealt with people who engaged in sexual abuse. I was attorney general. I took on people who engaged in fraud, on and on and on. And so I know his type.
I remember this line, yeah.
And because there is, there's something about in the English language that phrase, I know his type, that does a lot of work for you. Because it's something we all relate to, whether it was that boss, it was that person, whatever. I know his type. And so the character that I knew I was running against is someone, because he has shown it also. I mean, he did it with President Obama. He did it with Secretary Clinton. He throws this stuff out that he thinks will be an individual's weakness or Achilles heel, with the intent to distract from the fact that, as it was in this campaign, he had no plan for actually bringing down costs and prices for the American people. He had very few plans for what he would actually do that was about the American people and not about an execution of his vengeance on his enemies. And I wasn't about to fall for that bait. And the stakes were too high. The stakes were too high. You can't get in the gutter with that guy, because that is the way that he distracts from the fact that, for example, right now, he promised the people who voted for him that on day one he'd bring down prices. And I do believe, Rachel, that's one of the main reasons that the people who voted for him elected him, because they believed he would do it. He lied. We're now in a position where unemployment is up, inflation is up, the cost of groceries is up. So, as the folks used to say, don't fall for the okie doke. Just don't.
All right.
Now, I wanted to start with that clip, which is surprisingly not the reason that Donald Trump is now attacking Kamala Harris and making wild accusations and demands on Truth Social, but because it's so important that we continue to hammer home the point that Donald Trump has always and will always lie. That is what this administration is about. It is promises made for promises to be immediately broken. And you can look at any issue, and that is obviously the case. Now, I think we should be returning a little bit more than usual to the issue of the Epstein files, but you can talk about anything. Affordability, housing, cuts to Medicaid. Donald Trump has screwed you on everything. And he knows that, which is why it's surprising he didn't freak out over it, but instead freaked out because Kamala Harris said this.
The sitting vice president enters the race against a former president of the United States who's been running for 10 years with 107 days to go. And it ended up being the closest presidential election in the 21st century. And
now, the vice president is right. This was one of the closest elections in history. And why that upset Donald Trump so much, as we'll see in a second, is because he wants you to think that he had the overwhelming mandate. When he won in 2016, it was, of course, because of the Electoral College. He didn't win the popular vote, so he really never felt satisfied with that victory. But Donald Trump claims that this last election was the huge mandate, which has immediately gone away. Donald Trump is more unpopular than ever, and that's why those words really stung, and why he put out these two insane Truth Social posts. Trump first wrote on Truth Social of Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris, who is dumb as a rock, is going around and using as a standard part of her speech on why she lost the 2024 election, that it was the closest presidential election in the 21st century. Everyone knows this is a lie and was covered as such by Fox News. I won the Electoral College, a landslide counties nationwide, all 7 swing states, and despite the fact that California's fake mail-in ballots came in at ridiculous numbers, it was rigged, I still won the popular vote by millions, saying that Kamala is telling a total lie. Trump followed that up with another petty personal complaint, writing, "A real disgrace took place at the United Nations yesterday. Not one, not two, but 3 very sinister events. First, the escalator going up to the main speaking floor came to a screeching halt. It stopped on a dime. It's amazing that Melania and I didn't fall forward onto the sharp edges of these steel steps face first. It was only that we were each holding the handrail tightly, or it would have been a disaster. This was absolutely sabotage, as noted by a days earlier post in the London Times that the UN workers joked about turning off an escalator. The people that did it should be arrested." Okay, so there is so much to unpack there. I'd first like to say it's funny that Donald Trump's big gripe with the speeches and the talking points that Kamala Harris is delivering is that the election was close. Like, that's his big complaint. Kamala Harris is like, Donald Trump lied about everything and he won't release the Epstein files, which I don't think she said. But if she hasn't, like, Kamala, Epstein files, let's get on it. I don't know why we didn't do that on the campaign trail. Like, Donald Trump freaked out in that debate more than anyone I've ever seen on a debate stage. Imagine if she had just dropped the bomb. Yeah, he's in the Epstein files. Explain that one away. I don't know. Would the election have looked different? It's a possibility. So hammer it home right now. But I think it's funny that Donald Trump is not going after Kamala Harris for saying that, because of course we know it's true, but he's just still upset that no one praised him enough for winning the presidential election. It doesn't really make a lot of sense. But on to the arrest. Donald Trump is an idiot. And Donald Trump is also surrounded by idiots, and it was one of those idiots in his own staff who accidentally triggered the escalator to stop. So if someone should be arrested, maybe it's Donald Trump's White House, someone in there, maybe just the president himself. Can we do that? Can we just arrest, please, again, please? Seriously, what are we waiting for? But this is what he's upset about. This is what he is ranting and raving and freaking out. It's why I wanted to start with that clip of Kamala saying that Donald Trump has broken every single one of the promises that he's made. Because what is he focused on? Himself. He is always focused on whatever petty personal issue is consuming his mind, making him angry, making him rage. Because that's what this administration is about. Donald Trump wanted to seek the presidency again for really 2 reasons. The first was to stay out of jail. Still yet to be seen. Maybe we can make some progress when President Newsom or President AOC, President Walz comes in and says, "You know what, Donald? How about we revisit those convictions? And I don't know, maybe we'll reopen Alligator Alcatraz. You can share a bunk with Stephen Miller. And I don't know, we'll fortify it by taking the filler out of Carolyn Levitt's face and lips. And that'll put a strong barrier in place to keep him in there. I think that's a good idea." But, of course, Donald Trump wanted to stay out of jail, but it's not just that. He also wanted to make himself billions of dollars. We know Donald Trump now has more than 50% of his net worth accumulated since beginning the presidency through stable coins, other crypto bullshit ventures, which many Democrats actually voted to allow to happen. Just so you know, there's a whole crypto lobby if you thought AIPAC was bad, and they fucking certainly are. They're paying off both sides. Just look into Fair Shake. That PAC, it'll drive you crazy how much money was given to Democrats to help them win Senate campaigns, House campaigns that then are now voting for the crypto lobby. Sherrod Brown had $40 million spent against him. Katie Porter had about $10 to $20 million spent against her in her primary because she was going to go so hard against crypto. Just an important thing to point out. I feel like we have to be fair and honest on this show, and I will always call out the crypto lobby because crypto is environmental terrorism, completely useless unless you are a criminal or a corrupt president. So that's one thing. But this is what Donald Trump wanted out of the presidency, and he's getting it. And speaking of enriching himself, he's not the only one doing so. So is everyone around him, including Tom Homan, in a story that I don't think has still gotten nearly enough attention. That's why I'm glad Jen Psaki was bringing more right here. How are we not talking more about this? Like, I know that Donald Trump decided that Tylenol causes autism, which isn't true. But we couldn't have spent like another beat mainstream media on the Tom Homan shit, like a literal bag of cash. Like in my mind, because Kash Patel and Pam Bondi, big shocker, get the bell ringing, big shocker alert, aren't going to release the video of our guy Tom Homan taking $50,000 in cash. But like in my mind, it's like a Looney Tunes cartoon, and he like gets it and like runs away, and it's like a puff of like smoke, and like the shape of Tom Homan. Like that's how comical it is. He took $50,000 in cash in a bag or like a briefcase, like a villain, because he is, and he looks like a fucking thumb. Like Tom Homan. Why did you do this? This is my one-on-one with Tom Homan. Tom Homan, why did you take $50,000 in cash? That's a bad reason, Tom Homan. This show has gone so off the rails. I apologize that lately I just feel like I've been losing it, but I don't know how you can watch this administration and not just want to belittle them. Also, that was my Tom Homan impression because he also does sound like he has marbles in his mouth all the time. And on that note, I feel like we should end this show before it goes off the rails anymore. All I'll say is mainstream media, elected Democrats, please, everyone, we should talk about this corruption. It is so blatant, so obvious, and so easy to call out. We are going to on this show every single day. Maybe it won't come with the impersonation every time, but if you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button, leave a like on this video if you stuck around to the end. Drop a blue heart in the comments. If you want to become a paid or free subscriber to my Substack, you can do it here or linked below. Keep on fighting. Don't let them silence you. Until next time, I'll see you soon.